We need to help people more than just saying it's okay. It's okay that you're not willing to help yourself out. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Even though it's your life, if that's acceptable, that's unacceptable. And there's a lot of people in this world, me included, that if I accepted that, I wouldn't be anywhere. So yeah, a lot of people just, they start creating a narrative about themselves that make it okay. The ultimate get out of jail free card. And now the world is set up to have so many get out of jail free cards. Everything is okay. And you can't say a motherfucking thing about it. Man, why are you always yelling? Guys, you. This is how I talk, bitch. Because I'm proud, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a proud motherfucker, man. And it's not proud like, look at me. It's like, motherfucker, I know where I fucking came from, bitch. I shouldn't be here right now talking to you. Shouldn't be talking to you, motherfucker. I shouldn't be here. I'm just a fat, sloppy motherfucker. I'm proud. So I'm able to tell you, I was fucked up. Many people can't. It's not even real. All those mornings that you didn't want to fucking get up, and I look at it as like a rock, and you find this fucking rock, and that rock is you. And every day you fucking fight not wanting to get up, and you do anyway. You chip another piece off that rock, and every day you fucking eat the right foods, and every day you go to train, you train harder and harder and harder and harder, and you get up earlier, and all these things you do to start forming yourself. You're chipping another fucking piece of that rock up. Before you know it, you have this beautiful piece of artwork that you built. And then once you get there, you see it, and it becomes real. And like, oh my God, I fucking did this shit. And so like the journey becomes so real then. But so many people aren't willing to chip away at that stone that is them to start chipping off those rough edges. As far back as I can remember, I craved a seat at the table. Even when I was a punk-ass teenager, I knew that one day I wanted to sit at that mythical table among the greats in my field. I suppose you can trace it back to a deep desire for respectability. I desperately wanted to be somebody because I felt like a nobody. That's why I was drawn towards special ops at such a young age. And when I realized I was flunking out of school, it's why I was so motivated to change. I knew that I would never arrive at that table unless I took myself and my life more seriously. And yet, as much as I wanted to be among the greats, the decision makers, the anointed ones, I spent years waiting for a formal invitation. I don't know how many times I visualized receiving that embossed golden ticket to the dinner I dreamed of, where steak and lobster tail would be served by those who admired and wanted to be near us. But I expected to have to prove something first. I figured if I inserted myself into the proper organization or structure and met the standard consistently, someone would notice me, a mentor or guide, and give me directions to where all the power players gathered. I was not looking to be at the head of their table. I wasn't delusional. I just wanted a seat. In the meantime, I became one of the waiters who served the elite. Before long, some of my peers, who in my mind weren't as qualified as I was, were seated at the table too. I sucked it up and served them, still hoping that one day I'd be tapped on the shoulder and someone would pull out a chair for me. I wanted so badly to be anointed and validated by my superiors. I wanted to be told, "You have finally arrived, David Goggins. You are now recognized to be one of the best." Trouble is, that formal invitation rarely arrives. And for me, it never did. But while I waited, I observed my so-called superiors at close range. I watched them work, studied how they presented themselves, and realized that most of them were fairly common motherfuckers. And I wanted to be uncommon, because it is the uncommon story, the uncommon leader that inspires others to seek more of themselves, work harder, and rise to the occasion. It's no secret that the vast majority of people prefer to be led because it's easier to follow someone else than to break your own trail. Yet all too often, we are led by bosses, teachers, coaches, and powerful officials who wear the rank and title and deploy optimistic speeches, management lingo, and strategies they learned in some university or seminar from their colleagues at that table in the executive suite, but do not inspire us. Perhaps it's because they talk way too much and do far too little. Maybe it's because their own lives are out of control. Whatever the case, over time, it becomes obvious that these men and women who we once admired from afar don't have what it takes to lead themselves, let alone anyone else. Yet, when they reject or ignore us, we allow that to limit us and our ability to influence the organization we belong to and the people around us. It doesn't have to be that way. Too many people mistake leadership for what happens at the top, in the spotlight, around that mythical table, when some of the most powerful leaders are hard at work in the shadows. They know that opportunities to make a difference in the lives of their neighbors, family, co-workers, and friends are ever present. They wield massive influence without having to say much, if anything at all. And the first step in becoming one of these unsung heroes is learning how to become a self-leader. I never forget one time I was running by a graveyard when I was just trying to become, I was fat. And I ran by a graveyard and I looked out there and I have all these epiphanies, man. I have all these moments of it's crazy, man, of this thought. Cause I'm always by myself and I'm always in deep thought about how to be better. And I look out there, I'm like, man, I wonder how many of you motherfuckers in there are so upset with how you lived your life and can just regret how you lived it. And I'm running a 300-pound man thinking, man, don't die like this, bro. Don't die like this. So people wonder where this shit comes from me. It comes from such deep thought of trying to see what this is all about. What is this life all about? What am I all about? Why am I here? You know, I had to find purpose. And my suffering, it had a purpose. It had a purpose. I'd learned how to hold myself accountable, and I knew I could take a man's soul in the heat of battle. I had overcome many obstacles and realized that each of those experiences had calloused my mind so thick I could take on any challenge. All of that had made me feel like I dealt with my past demons, but I hadn't. I'd been ignoring them. My memories of abuse at the hands of my father, of all those people who called me, didn't vaporize after a few victories. Those moments were anchored deep in my subconscious, and as a result, my foundation was cracked. In a human being, your character is your foundation, and when you build a bunch of successes and pile up even more failures on a fucked up foundation, the structure that is the self won't be sound. To develop an armored mind, a mindset so calloused and hard that it becomes bulletproof, you need to go to the source of all your fears and insecurities. Most of us sweep our failures and evil secrets under the rug, but when we run into problems, that rug gets lifted up and our darkness reemerges, floods our soul, and influences the decisions which determine our character. My fears were never just about the water, and my anxieties toward class 235 weren't about the pain of first phase. They were seeping from the infected wounds I've been walking around with my entire life, and my denial of them amounted to a denial of myself. I was my own worst enemy. It wasn't the world or God or the devil that was out to get me. It was me. I was rejecting my past and therefore rejecting myself. My foundation, my character was defined by self-rejection. All my fears came from that deep-seated uneasiness I carried with being David Goggins because of what I'd gone through. Even after I'd reached a point where I no longer cared about what others thought of me, I still had trouble accepting me. Anyone who is of sound mind and body can sit down and think of 20 things in their life that could have gone differently, where maybe they didn't get a fair shake and where they took the path of least resistance. If you're one of the few who acknowledge that, want to callous those wounds and strengthen your character, it's up to you to go back through your past and make peace with yourself by facing those incidents and all of your negative influences and accepting them as weak spots in your own character. Only when you identify and accept your weaknesses will you finally stop running from your past. Then those incidents can be used more efficiently as fuel to become better and grow stronger. Right there on Mom's couch, as the moon burned its arc in the night sky, I faced down my demons. I faced myself. I couldn't run from my dad anymore. I had to accept that he was part of me and that his lying, cheating character influenced me more than I cared to admit. Before that night, I used to tell people that my father had died rather than tell the truth about where I came from. Even in the SEALs, I trotted out that lie. I knew why. When you get beat up, you don't want to acknowledge getting your ass kicked. It doesn't make you feel very manly. So the easiest thing to do is forget about it and move on. Pretend it never happened. Not anymore. Going forward, it became very important for me to rehash my life, because when you examine your experiences with a fine-tooth comb and see where your issues come from, you can find strength in enduring pain and abuse. By accepting Trunnis Goggins as part of me, I was free to use where I came from as fuel. I realized that each episode of child abuse that could have killed me made me tough as hell and as sharp as a samurai's blade. Many people build confidence in different ways, and they build belief in different ways. Coming from where I came from, I didn't have any belief in myself. So some people can go read a book and get belief. Some people can go take a yoga class, have good parents. So where I came from was so far down underneath soil that I had to build belief by truly ingraining it in my brain. So the things I do, I'm always, every day, building belief. And my belief had to be where it is because I was so far down. So it may take a 200-mile run for me. It may take a 100-mile run. It may take late nights in the gym. But without belief, you have nothing. And I realized that when I was a young kid, I have no belief. I have to build it. And a 5-mile run didn't do it. I had to push myself to such extremes because I came from, people judge me by not knowing where I came from. So unless you're me and you came from where I came from, I guarantee you wouldn't have made it out. Guarantee it. And I knew that. So my belief comes from going, I had to build it. And that's how I build it, man. I build it by the things I do. Discomfort yields progress. Discomfort is a teacher, a litmus test for activities we should be doing. So when you think about success, think about the discomfort. Discomfort will become how you prioritize everything and organize your effort to achieve what will genuinely make you grow. It's easy to say, chase discomfort. And if that was all there was to it, I could end up here. You could go after things that make you feel uncomfortable and see results. There is some truth to this, but in the real world, it's a bit more complicated. The challenge is that you need to find discomfort in the right areas and the right amounts. You will need to prioritize your discomfort daily. Unfocused and occasional discomfort will result in some progress. However, the growth you see with this type of effort will result in a linear progression, and what we are chasing are geometric results. You don't only need to do something that makes you uncomfortable today. You need to put a focus on your discomfort, compounded in the same areas over decades. You may have to start small, but one area of discomfort will build on the next area. And as this happens, you will see more and more success. When you see a successful person in any domain, there is no doubt they have been pursuing discomfort for a very long time. They sucked once, they got uncomfortable, kept at it, and then they started to suck a little bit less. Over time, they went from sucking to decent. After they were decent, they became good. They then went from good to great, and finally to world class. The key is daily over decades. Pursuit builds success. Continuous daily pursuit is very uncomfortable. We all have the same building blocks. We all have 24 hours in a day to shape our future and build who we want to become. However, some succeed at a high level and others coast into mediocrity or worse. Today, you can have anything you want whenever you want. New technological advances are inspiring and impressive, but are we leading it, or are these advances leading us to a life of slothful ease? You need to concentrate your efforts and limit distraction. Embrace the suck and get comfortable handling challenges alone. But where do you start? What areas of discomfort will produce results? Of all the things you could be doing, what should you be doing? Comfort is like a baby lion. You take it on as an adorable little pet, and in the beginning, loving and nurturing it is no problem. However, as the lion starts to grow, you have to feed it more and more. Eventually, you realize this beast was never meant to be your pet. That cute face that lured you in now has sharp fangs and paws the size of your head. Eventually, the lion will destroy you because that's what lions do. Embracing comfort is an insidious process that can shorten your life and decrease your enjoyment of it. In order to make the most meaningful impact, we have to clear the weeds on comfort. Once we clear up all the sneaky ways comfort is creeping into your life and slowing you down, then we can tackle what killing comfort looks like and set you on the path towards a better life.